Alright.
Alright, today I took my friend Mark and we are out doing a century. We're in Ventura and I'm gonna capture some clips. Let's go.
So I recorded this video starting a little north of Summerland. This is the Summerland bike path which connects from Summerland to Goleta, and this is where this video will start. This route is going from Ventura to Santa Barbara State College, and I found that to be a good 50 mile out and back to complete a full century.
Alright, watch that car. Bus! Not gonna roll through when a bus is coming. With the Mercedes. Yeah, then right? And I'll follow you on these stop signs. My museum, man. I'm trying to make a drone museum.
Here we are on the Santa Barbara bike path. Now, if you're trying to go for miles, usually you'd want to stay in the road and stay on the bike lane. But whenever there's a good bike path or good biking infrastructure, I always love to head over and use it. Like this. This is State Street, the main street in Santa Barbara, and because of COVID, it was pedestrianized, which means that this street is closed off to cars and it is designed for pedestrians. I particularly like this design a lot because the traffic lights where there's cross traffic are timed for bicyclists. So if you ride up or down this street at about 12 miles an hour, you will hit every intersection with a green light, which is pretty cool. This is a little bit more north of town, and here we are on a new Class 1 path. And this new Class 1 path has been seeing a lot of really good uses. At the end of the path, it turns into this bike path through a neighborhood, and I wanted to show these clips because the way that this neighborhood was set up with these pass-throughs really creates a good bike network that is off main arterial roads and on streets that are more welcoming to cyclists. The streets are a little slower, perhaps they are cul-de-sacs, and that makes cycling them a lot more safe.
Yeah, he's awesome.
After you cruise through the neighborhoods, then you're back on a Class 1 path that follows a creek, and you're pretty much on this bike path once you're northwest of downtown all the way to the college, which is pretty cool. Every time I ride in Santa Barbara, I am pretty blown away at their bike network. As you can see, you can exit off to the right, go into a neighborhood, or go to different commerce centers around the city or around the county. And that is truly what makes a good bike network. You can have Class 1 paths, but if they don't go anywhere or can't be used for anything, then to me, that's not a bike network. That is a place for people to drive to with their bikes, pull their bikes off their car, and ride.
Love the bikes, love the bikes.
Yeah, and as you can see, there's a lot of people out using the trails, a lot of e-bikes, and a lot of families on bikes, cargo bikes with kids on the back. This family that I'm passing right now has some young kids, and I really can't imagine a better way to get out and to spend time on the weekends with your family.
You got the vibes.
Here's the end of the bike path near the Santa Barbara airport and coming up to the college.
Fuck yeah!
Alright, so this is back to the Class 1 bike path.
Yeah, we're gonna take this all the way up and then
And
to the right.
this is super interesting to me because you have normal bike lanes on the street. So if you are a endurance cyclist or a recreational cyclist or some sort of enthusiast, you have the option, right, to stay on the street, which is where lycra wearing cyclists might be more comfortable, or you have the ability to hop onto this Class 1 grade separated path and ride that. And what I have found through riding more in Santa Barbara and watching my footage back and seeing where riders go, the more experienced riders do like to stay on the street, and you typically see younger riders, people on e-bikes, people who are looking at the bicycle as a form of transportation as opposed to a way to work out. They are the ones who are typically using these Class 1 paths. Here, this is really cool. This felt really fun. And that's part of why I love riding a bike around towns, is because you get to explore these different areas that you don't typically get to experience when you're in a car driving from location to location.
Yeah. Honda.
This section of Class 1 bike path is one of the newest in Santa Barbara. I believe it opened in the year 2020. And this bike path has been on the bicycle master plan for Santa Barbara since the first iteration of that master plan from the 70s. So it's pretty cool to see this original vision for bikeways, bike networks finally being executed up here in Santa Barbara. And this bike path is a fork off the one we were on earlier, and this will take us all the way to the beach. So we'll just keep cruising down this path. I was very impressed with it, so I am leaving a lot of room for this footage to breathe in this edit.
Hiking trail.
And this bike path just goes on forever, which is something, again, that I really love. I think the cities and towns that figure out how to incorporate these grade separated and protected multi-use paths are really going to be the towns that excel in livability, in citizen happiness, and in facing climate challenges that we might be faced with in the future. Getting more people on electric vehicles, specifically electric bikes, is going to be crucial in cities being a desirable place to live, and also a place that doesn't contribute to hurting the environment.
Oh, that's cool, little entrance there. Or maybe that's the exit. Yeah.
So I missed it back there, but there was entrance and off ramps to the bike path into the street so that you are able to navigate this roundabout a little better than I just did at the end of the path right there. So now we're back onto a street and back to the bike path, or back to a bike lane rather. Santa Barbara is that perfect mix of hilly and flat terrain that you really get a dynamic riding experience. I'm really glad I don't live in a place with just hills or a place that's just perfectly flat. I really love having the option to choose what sort of ride I want to go on any given time. Coming around Santa Barbara, leaving the main downtown area, there's another bike path which goes in the backyards of some people's homes, which I don't know how they do this, because if I owned the home on the left over here, I would want an ocean view. How they got this bike path installed, I have no idea. The only way I could see this really happening is if this was in the original bicycle master plan from 1970. And this was a requirement from the master plan to execute on. Anyway, this is going to drop us down to another beach. I forget what beach this is called. Sunset Beach, perhaps? But this is one of the most beautiful beaches. This is also where the Four Seasons is if you want to stay or come and get a $16 coffee, like I've done in the past. This is a good secluded space that not a lot of tourists know about. So here we're headed south. We are done with 50. At this point we're probably at mile 65, somewhere around 60 to 70 as we head south. This is one of my favorite roads to ride going south. It's separated from the main road on the other side of the highway. It's a residential street, and it is a slight downhill when going south, and that makes me feel very fast and lets me sort of lock in at a high rate of speed. Here we're coming down the hill to the best bike path in the world at, I believe, the surf spot called Mondo's, or maybe Rincon Point. I don't quite live in Ventura, but I do need to start getting the names of these places correct. Anyway, this is a fun descent. And onto the bike path. This is about the time where you start entering the Pain Cave. Marc, even though he was doing his first century, really was strong, never complained, and was a really good riding partner. And I'm glad that he chose me to do his first century with. I think your first century as a cyclist is a really big milestone. It's a very important milestone to hit. And it always feels special when a friend asks me to join them for their first 100 miles. And there's nothing more I love than helping other people meet cycling goals that I met, that I enjoy meeting, and I want to help them reach the same goals that I once had as well. Again, at the end of the route here, we're met with one of the most beautiful bike paths. Again, on a grade separated Class 1 path. This parallels the train tracks that follow the ocean, and this brings us back into Ventura. Here we are south of Ventura. We're going over the Santa Clara riverbed. I'm unsure if that's what it's called at this point, but this is a part of the Santa Clara River. This is where the floodwaters from the St. Francis Dam went out to the ocean.
Will always be the place that you rode 100 miles. 99.9. You just rode 100 miles. Woo, good work.
And there he does it.
What an accomplishment.
How you feeling?
Gassed.
How's the day?
It's a great day.
Yeah.
100. We did it. Hell yeah. Thanks, Trent.
Let's do it again.
See you next weekend. Let's go.
Oh.